San Francisco is known for being a place full of dreams, different kinds of people, and hidden stories. But on one foggy night in November 2023, something terrible happened. Near the water at Crissy Field, just past the Golden Gate Bridge, a man was found dead in his car. He had been shot once, right in the eye. The person who pulled the trigger? A 21-year-old sex worker named Leniyah Butler. She was a black transgender woman, just trying to survive in a world that often treats people like her as if they don't matter. Leniyah said she acted out of fear, not anger, because she didn't feel safe. The kind of fear that builds up when your life is always in danger. But the big question is, was she really scared, or did she commit murder? Leniyah Butler's life didn't begin with crime. It began with pain, rejection, and the struggle to simply exist. She was born in California, and from early on, life was hard. Her family didn't have much money. She moved around a lot, never really having a place to call home. As a young black transgender girl, she often felt like she didn't fit in anywhere, not at school, not in her neighborhood, and sometimes not even in her own family. People judged her for how she looked, how she spoke, and for living her truth. Instead of love and support, she was met with confusion, shame, or silence. By the time she was a teenager, Leniyah had already faced more than most people do in a lifetime. She was pushed out of places that were supposed to protect her. Teachers didn't understand her. Jobs wouldn't hire her. Landlords wouldn't rent to her. Friends came and went, and some only stayed as long as they could get something from her. In her late teens, she found herself in San Francisco's Tenderloin district, a rough part of the city where poverty, drugs, and crime were part of daily life. The streets were crowded, loud, and unpredictable. But for people like Leniyah, it was one of the few places where no one asked too many questions. The Tenderloin had its own kind of broken family: other homeless youth, drug users, sex workers, and outcasts. People who had also been pushed out and were just trying to survive. Leniyah didn't have a job. She didn't have a room to sleep in. She didn't have money for food. So, like many others in her situation, she turned to sex work. Not because she wanted to, but because she didn't have a choice. It gave her just enough to eat, to find a motel bed for the night, or to stay out of the cold. There was no glamour, no fantasy. Just long nights, strangers, and the constant fear that one wrong move could end her life. She wasn't out to hurt anyone. All she wanted was to be safe, to be seen, and to be treated like a human being. She wanted to live her life truthfully as a woman, without hiding who she was. But being a transgender sex worker came with serious risks. Not everyone respected her identity. Some clients became angry or violent when they found out she was trans. Others targeted her just for existing. For Leniyah, every night she walked the streets, she carried fear with her. Not fear of the job, but fear of what people might do to her simply for being herself. And it was that fear, always sitting just beneath the surface, that followed her into the car that night. November 12, 2023. That night, just like many others before it, Leniyah was walking the usual streets in the Tenderloin, cold, tired, and hoping to make enough money to eat and sleep somewhere safe. That's when she met Hamza Walupupu, a 32-year-old man with a quiet, calm energy. He seemed polite. Relaxed. Like someone who had done this before. Hamza wasn't new to these kinds of late-night meetings. He came into the city looking for company, not love, not trouble, just a moment of connection. Someone to talk to. Someone to touch. Someone who would treat him like he mattered, even if only for an hour. They spoke briefly on the street. Agreed on a price. It was a business deal, the kind Leniyah had made many times before. Then Hamza invited her into his car. From there, they drove to a quiet spot, Crissy Field East Beach, not far from the water. It was dark, still, and away from people. A perfect place for privacy. A place where no one would interrupt them. Once they parked, things seemed normal. They talked and laughed a little. Then, they had sex, because that was exactly what they were there for. But after it was over, Leniyah did something that took the night in a completely different direction. She told him the truth. For some reason no one could understand, she opened up to her one-night stand about her sexuality. She told Hamza that she was transgender, that she was born male but lived as a woman. In that one moment, everything changed. Hamza got angry. Really angry. He felt deceived. He yelled at her, cursed at her, and called her names. He demanded his money back. He told her to get out of the car. To Hamza, it felt like she tricked him. But to Leniyah, it felt like something much worse. It felt like the start of violence. She was alone in a car with a man she had just slept with, a man who was now furious, unpredictable, and possibly threatening. In her mind, this wasn't just a bad date. It was survival. She had heard the stories. Other girls like her had been beaten. Some had been killed. She didn't know what he could do but knew she was trapped. Then it happened. One gunshot. Right to the face. Through the eye. She shot him. No one knows why she had a gun with her at that point, but she killed him. Right at the spot Hamza died instantly. The car went silent. No screams. No sirens. Just the sound of waves in the distance, and the heavy weight of what had just happened. A moment of fear that changed two lives forever. For a few minutes, the beach was silent again. Just the waves. But in the car sat a lifeless body, and a young woman with blood on her hands, trying to figure out what the hell to do next. She panicked. Leniyah took Hamza's car and drove it all the way to Hunter's Point, on the other side of the city. There, she tried to wipe down the car, cleaning off fingerprints, hair, and anything that could trace back to her. She got rid of the gun, likely dumping it somewhere it would never be found. To her, it was survival. Every move is a desperate attempt to buy time. But San Francisco isn't a city where you can just disappear. Surveillance cameras tracked her movements. Cell tower pings traced her phone from the scene to Hunter's Point. GPS data connected all the dots. When investigators reviewed the footage, it became clear they had their suspect. Leniyah was arrested shortly after. By the start of 2025, Leniyah Butler was no longer walking the streets, she was standing trial, fighting for her freedom, and maybe even her life. The state charged her with second-degree murder, saying she killed Hamza Walupupu on purpose. In the eyes of the prosecutors, Leniyah wasn't a scared girl. She was a liar. A manipulator. They told the jury that she had tricked Hamza, that she hid the fact that she was transgender until after they had sex. And when things didn't go her way, she pulled out a gun and shot him in cold blood. They claimed it was calculated. That she knew exactly what she was doing. But her defense team told a completely different story. They showed the jury a picture of who Leniyah really was, a 21-year-old woman, alone in the world, trying to survive in a system that had failed her over and over again. They told the court about the trauma she carried, about how she had been beaten, threatened, and assaulted too many times to count. She didn't go out looking for violence that night. She didn't plan to hurt anyone. But when Hamza turned angry, when his words and actions made her feel unsafe, her instincts took over. The defense argued it wasn't murder. It was self-defense, a desperate reaction to a dangerous situation that escalated too fast. The courtroom became more than just a place for facts and evidence, it turned into a battleground of beliefs. This case wasn't just about what happened in that car. It became about who society thinks transgender women are. Are they predators, tricking men for money? Or are they victims of constant fear and violence, just trying to live their truth? Was Leniyah a cold-blooded killer? Or was she a terrified young woman who thought she was about to become another name on a long list of transgender women killed and forgotten? The jury had to decide. Witnesses testified. Experts spoke. The jury deliberated. And then, on March 31, 2025, the jury made their decision. Leniyah Butler was found not guilty of second-degree murder, meaning the court didn't believe she planned to kill Hamza that night. But she was found guilty of voluntary manslaughter, which means the jury believed something did go terribly wrong, and that her reaction in that moment was too extreme even if she was scared. Now, Leniyah is facing up to 15 years in federal prison. Her sentencing is scheduled for June 27, 2025. But this is where the story takes an even darker turn. Because Leniyah is a transgender woman, there's a high chance she will be sent to a men's prison, a place that can be extremely dangerous for people like her. In men's facilities, transgender women often face abuse, sexual violence, and long periods of isolation. It's not just jail, it can be a nightmare. Her defense team has already spoken out. They are worried about her safety. They fear what could happen to her behind bars. And while all this is happening, there's another family left in pain. Hamza Walupupu's loved ones are heartbroken. They lost a son, a father, a man they cared deeply about. He died over a disagreement, over a truth revealed too late. To them, it wasn't about gender or fear. It was about a man who never made it home. His family wants justice. They want answers. And most of all, they want to understand why it had to end like this. Hamza is gone. And Leniyah is behind bars. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel to find out more about true crime stories like this.